welcome back to day 40 of Survivor 50 seasons in 50 days. Today, Winners at War, the season that brought us COVID, a second time winner, Sandra Shark, and everything in between. I'm especially excited for this panel that we have tonight because first we have one of my former favorite co-hosts. We have Emily. Thank you so much for joining for this. And then we also have Alex making his return from Caramoan, Game Changer, from 2 years ago. So go ahead.
Something like that. Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be back.
Winners at War, and I'm just going to make this apology now. It's been a long travel day, and I'm also getting to the end of this. I'm getting to the end of this marathon, so like I'm just exhausted. So if there's ever any type of lapse, just chalk it up to that. All right, Emily, starting with you, going into this season, what was the hype for you? Were there people that you were hoping that would actually show up? Were there people that were like, oh, we kind of don't need this person, not knowing what the cast is actually going to look like? What were your thoughts going into the season?
Well, Andrew, now you've already put me on blast. I'm about to tell you something so embarrassing, and you're going to have to love me anyway. I fell off during the dark stages of Survivor. The dark era, I also fell off. And then, COVID happened and I was like, wow, like I need to find a purpose for my life again, So then I started my full Survivor re-binge, which is eventually I got to season 40. So I didn't even know who won it. Like by the time that I even got to season 40. When was that? I would say like maybe December of 2020-ish. I don't know. I was off the Survivor
season 40. Oh, when you got there. Okay.
By the time I got there, I was geriatric. That was a geriatric stage, So like going on there, but I did know, as you know, fun fact about me, Alex, you don't know this about me, but my godmom's best friend is Amber. So I knew like that she was going to be on it just in passing conversation, she and Rob. I knew that she was nervous to be on it. Wasn't the vibe, and then they ended up, I knew they were going to be there. I feel like I was like satisfied with most of the people who were going to be there. They had a really good balance of like bigger targets versus like some of the ones that were more underdogs. And I wish that it was a little more like old school heavy, maybe, just because I don't know. I was pulling for like, they were the underdogs in my heart. You know what I mean? But besides that, no complaints. I was vibing.
Alex, you were well ingrained in the community at this point, and for you, well, one, did you know this was happening ahead of time? Did you know going like before they announced?
I actually have a very close connection to this season. It's sort of weird, in that I before the season was filmed, I got put in touch with Yule by a mutual friend to talk strategy. Yule had been sort of outside of the Survivor community for many years, and he was looking for someone who knew a lot about Survivor, and then someone put us in touch. And,
okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your spotlight. How do you know all these people? Like, what's your backstory? How did you get here?
I ask myself that question every day. I don't know. I think I'm lucky. I just, if you're nice to people, then people remember you, and then they think of you for things. And I don't know. I try to make my own luck, but sometimes it just happens. I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, to be thought of for this, and to be put in touch with him. And it certainly wasn't me teaching Yule how to play Survivor. Yule is very smart. He knows how to play Survivor. But I was sort of in the position of, he hadn't watched in a while, and we were talking and coming with strategy together. And it was honestly, it was a joy. It was a thrill. It was so fun to sort of live through him. And I guess the big thing and my big contribution to this season would be that I saw this clip online of Survivor contestants playing poker, and I sent it to him.
What?
And I told him I told him that I think this is my first time talking publicly on a podcast about this, but I told him
it's because of you.
I'm very sorry to Amber. I know now that you have a connection to Amber. You know, Amber was not in the clip. It was not meant to hurt Amber. It was not meant to hurt anyone, to be honest. I'm a fan of all these people.
That for a minute, Alex.
It was listen, if Amber was talking to me, I would have been like, Amber, how can we best help you win this game? Okay. But Amber did not talk to me. I did not speak on the phone with Amber and exchange emails with Amber. But I did, well, because the thing was, Yul was very much out of the Survivor world for many years. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these other people had connections and they were going to events. And Yul was outside of that. So it was like, how can he avoid them just being like, well, we don't have a connection to him. He's like the easy person to target. How do you put the target on other people? And this clip that I found, even when I discussed it with you, I was like, I don't think this is a real thing. I don't think this is necessarily a real alliance they have. It's sort of half joking, but I still think you can use it as a thing to put the target on these people and get it off you. And it did succeed in doing what we wanted to. I also had no idea it was going to be so prominent in the season. That was crazy to find out. It was one of many different strategies that we talked about, but it just happened to be very prominent in the first episode. And yeah,
wow.
it's
so you're amazing. Already dead to me. I've known you for 5 minutes.
Listen,
can't believe.
I'm very sorry. I'd like to formally apologize. You know, I would say that, you know, Amber getting voted out is not fully on that. I would also say that you could also put some blame on Rob for not telling Sandra that he was playing. I think that contributed to it as well.
But I would like to, but you're the only person here that I can blame. So I feel like
I'll take it. I'll be the punching bag. I like to say my heart was in a good place because Yul said if he won, he was going to donate all of the money he won to ALS. So I'm like, I think I'm doing a good thing. I'm granted that was before he knew the prize money was $2 million. But
that was amazing. That was really impressive. And my best friend would thank you dearly because Yul was definitely one of like the stars of the show, I think, for at least a good bit of the season.
Yeah. I really think that what hurts Yul. Oh, sorry. Wait, it's your show. Wait, what? We're just talking. No. You need to talk.
Where does he happen?
No. I was going to say what is eventually going to hinder the season for me is once the pre-merge is over, and specifically when Sophie is gone early to mid-merge, the season kind of turns into something else, and we'll kind of get to that later. But just talking about the cast for a second, we've already touched on a few that y'all have, you know, firsthand accounts of. For me, when the cast was announced, it made sense for the most part. You know, I wasn't the biggest Ben hater, but it's like, okay, if you want someone from this archetype, there aren't that many people. I would have preferred Mike Holloway, but fine, whatever. On the women's end, you know, I've always appreciated Danny Boatwright. I didn't necessarily need her here because Vecepia. You know, I understand that Earl had something else going on in his life because Earl was another person that was kind of there for me. But were there any obvious, you know, snubs for y'all? And if we don't have to say Earl because we know that Earl was in the pool for this. Are there people that were kind of like, well, we're not going to bring them back because of this?
You know who I'd have liked to see again? This might be a hot take. Maybe it's not. No, I'm going to own it. Feminism. Natalie White. I think we should have brought her back so bad because I really feel like that would have been a really full circle redemption arc for her. Not in the sense that she really needed it, but because I think a lot of the time, especially at this stage of like life, you know, but also like enough time had passed for her to really be able to take a step back and like analyze, like, you know, like really show that she deserved to be there, which she did, you know, but I think that the edit would have been a little bit kinder to her in that regard. You know, I would have liked to see her again to actually see what she would have been made of.
Alex?
Yeah. Well, I guess the ones that I was excited to see, I sort of understand why they weren't well, like Richard Hatch, I really wanted to see back, but I fully understand not bringing him back. But listen, I started off watching the first season and when as a kid, and I was rooting for Richard Hatch, and then he won. So it's just like that nostalgia. And also I would have been very interested to see how he adapted to the way the game is now. I don't think he would have one. I actually was like, oh, I think he would be like a great, like maybe no vote finalist, but I would love to see that story. I don't know. But I fully understand why they didn't bring him back after the last season.
All-Star Gate.
Yeah.
All-Star Gate. We went down that path, what, 3-4 weeks ago? Was it 4? It was over a month ago. One thing that Survivor does well is with the returnee seasons, the premiere is always epic. You go Here's Villains, you go All Stars, Cambodia, 50, I would say is one of my favorite premieres ever. And then in the middle of all, we have 40, which is teased at the end of Island of the Idols, and we have the iconic theme song for Survivor 40. For me, like watching them touch down on the beach, especially as based off of how I do the marathon, where this is 40 days into this, it still brings up those feelings I would have had 20 years later, because I just spent the last 2 months of my life basically watching these people grow up on screen. In some cases, some people I haven't seen since the first week that I did this, and so I found myself getting all types of emotional watching that premiere last night, because it's like, wow, I'm actually already here. Like, I only have 10 days left with this. We are introduced to the two big twists of the season. We have the Edge of Extinction, which just happened 2 days ago in real time, and we have the fire tokens. Now, Emily, before we went live, you brought up that you're very pro. You're very pro fire token. So what was it about fire tokens for you that made it stand out in a positive light?
Let me tell you why. Okay. I came in. Okay. So I watched the first time and I was like, like this is it. But then as you've seen how the last 10 seasons have evolved, I'm like, I feel like we're giving too much power to like the Survivor producer games of fate. And I really think that it added more leverage in like social capital within the players itself, which is exactly what we want to see anyway. We want to be able to see players control the games themselves, but adding a little bit more of like a barter system, I think enhanced like more trust. It made people be a little bit more risky with certain things that they had to like compromise. And there were different missions involved. I thought that it added a really good layer, as opposed to it being just all on whimsy. But that's my hot take.
Okay. Alex, thought on the fire tokens.
Listen, I'll say I like the fire tokens. I just don't think that they should have been in this season, right? Like, shouldn't that be, they should be its own season of new players, and the theme is the fire tokens. I didn't like them being included, but I like the idea of fire tokens. I think there's something fun there. I love trying to change the game. Listen, I feel like some of these new era seasons could have benefited from fire tokens, but I don't think, when we already have all these amazing players, great personalities, I don't think it needed an extra thing to make it better.
I think I agree with you, kind of, but I also disagree with you, and here's why. Well, you're already dead to me, so I can be a little more mean. I don't mean that, but I digress. I think that the reason that they had to do it for two different reasons. I think one, like, can you imagine like what like Gabler would have done with the fire token? Like nothing, like I think that they really needed to find like different players that like who already had, well, I mean, that's a bad example, but like players that had a lot of really good experience and in-depth background, who were like the highest caliber, to see exactly how well they could be used to give people ideas and like a map for the future. But like, I feel like that's kind of one piece. And then I was going to say something else that I don't remember. Oh, I think the other reason is because like I think maybe in some way they kind of anticipated like a lot of different players, like the earlier boots being some of like the favorites, and they wanted to give them a little bit more of a storyline to work with, so we didn't like all get disappointed by them getting whacked early. But I understand what you're saying too.
Well, and it's the same thing with like Blood versus Water. Well, this is more of the Edge of Extinction type twist, where Blood versus Water and I guess Redemption Island, they, for a lot of us, we feel like they added that twist in there so that we do get more time with Russell and Rob. But in Blood versus Water, my conspiracy theory is because Rupert always plays to the theme of the season. So he thinks he's a real life pirate in Pearl Islands. He thinks he's, this all time shelter builder in All Stars. He thinks all the villains are actual horrible people in Heroes of Films. In Blood versus Water, they're like, we're hoping that Rupert switches spots with Laura so that we can get more time with him on Redemption Island, so we can eventually potentially get him back because he's this all-time challenge beast with one immunity win. I do.
He won some rewards.
He wants some rewards.
He tried his best.
With as far as the fire tokens are concerned, I understand them in concept. I understand why everyone thought they were going to be a bigger thing. I think Nick Wilson's the first person to kind of bring up of like, this is going to really add to what's going on in the game. This is the next evolution of the game. Yule talks about it a little bit later. I think the problem is we already have a blueprint in Edge of Extinction, the season, where people on the edge are finding these advantages and also sending things into the game without any type of back and forth, and it works out for both players that get back from the edge. It's not like the money, the currency would have helped them any better or worse, because they did have those bonds and they got back in because of what they had done while they were on the edge. Anyway, if that makes sense. Any more thoughts on fire tokens and or Edge of Extinction with this? Alex?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you can go.
No. You go first.
I was just going to say, I think the most interesting stuff with fire tokens happens on the edge. And I think it's more valuable to the edge players to get an advantage in the challenge to come back, or to buy an idol that they can use when they come back. But I feel like in the real game, felt like more of a distraction. And I feel like it sometimes was overshadowing like the real gameplay that could be happening. Like, because since it's the first time using the fire tokens, they didn't know exactly how it was going to work. And so there's a lot of confessionals and time dedicated to them speculating on that, when I would have preferred to see them actually playing the game.
That makes sense.
And just to follow, Emily, go ahead, because I knew you were going to say something.
I was just going to ask a question. So, Andrew, did you want to follow up on anything?
Yeah, what I was going to say is, and this is kind of killing my lead of what I'm going to say later, this is the 10th day in a row that I've gone on this rant, but I'm going to go on it again. When people complain about the post-COVID era and how, all these advantages and this, that, and the other, they're hindering what's going on in the game. It's like, yes, you understand this has been going on for a long time, right? And that you're just watching post-COVID Survivor through anti-nostalgia goggles, whatever the opposite of nostalgia goggles would be. You're watching it through that because a lot of the issues that people have with post-COVID Survivor started a long time ago. And Alex has made this point, fully with this season, because we are getting a lot of time watching even the extortion advantage that Tony gets later in the game, disadvantage. It's a fun moment, but it shouldn't happen, because we should be letting the players play without them worrying about, I can't do the immunity challenge because someone that's out of the game technically is telling me that I can't. That's kind of where my issue with, and I'm going to go on this rant for the next 10 days afterwards, because every season you will go online and you will see people say, it wasn't always like this. It's like, it has been like this since season 21. But even if you want to go back to season 12, when the actual idol is introduced, the super idol is introduced, this has been an issue for a long time. Emily, go ahead.
Well, and I think, like, to that point, I think the reason that I like it more now is because I've been able to see kind of how the game has evolved. Not that I hate everything from the new era. Like, I'm not a major hater, but like, I do like seeing how the game works when you give more control to the player to determine when these who gets these roadblocks based on the relationships that you've already built, So like, it's a little bit more in the player's hands as opposed to like just like throwing like an hourglass in there all willy-nilly, So like, to me, that's a little bit more why I kind of lean into it. The other thing that I liked on that same regard is I think that, like, we can all agree that now that we've moved forward into this era, like, if you win challenges, if you're a challenge beast, like, typically that's not like a big selling point whenever you get to the jury. You know what I mean? However, like whenever you would win a challenge, then you'd get different fire tokens. You'd earn some fire tokens. And I think in that way, it still helped to be like to excel in challenges because you can use some of those things as like currency to propel you throughout the game. And I'm wondering if you guys think at all, like if we eliminated like immunity from challenges at all and like they could use these fire tokens instead to purchase immunity idols or whatever other resources that they would see fit, would that make you okay? Andrew, you hate it, never mind. Okay,
I already hate it.
Just make a conversation, never mind. But I was wondering what you guys thought about
Alex has a differing opinion, but
I don't know. I'm open to something like that. I don't hate it as much, but I'm like, I want to see also I miss themes. I want to see a themed, we never got a themed season that where the fire tokens was the theme. Like, I don't know. I would have been interested in seeing that, and maybe the experiment would have failed. Maybe it would have worked, but I'm cool with them trying it. But I don't like experimenting with it on a season like this.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with that is, with the exception of, well, I guess even if we just look at our 30s, 31 they introduced the steal a vote, and in 34 we have fake exile. We have a few more things kind of. I know 33 is the one that initially introduced the Sarah Lucina 34. What is the name of it? Oh, not knowledge of power. What is the name of the Sierra gives to Sarah on her way out?
It's like inheritance.
The legacy advantage.
Yeah.
You get the legacy advantage, things like that, where although I don't like the fact that these things are being introduced to the game, it makes sense, I guess. Hey, we have a returning season. Let's do something different. With here, I know the backlash for Edge of Extinction this season was very big still at this point. We've had 39 to get more people upset over something different. But for here, I'm surprised they decided to go back to that well and introduce another facet that may or may not work, when they could have just said, hey, let's just stick with the advantages that we have and just see how it works. And if it works, maybe the next time we do a returning season, maybe if the world doesn't end, we can do this fire token thing. We can bring back the Edge and see what happens this time. I don't hate the Edge as much as a lot of people do, and I think it's because of how many times I've watched these seasons. But I understand the qualms that people still have with it, especially because our first boot of the season, after immunities happens the first within the first 15, 20 minutes. And we eventually lose Natalie Anderson in a situation that has plagued a lot of the 30s of, we don't really know what's going on at camp or how votes kind of come to fruition. And I go back to Michaela and Andrea Belke in Game Changers, where their boots are just kind of out of nowhere, at least for on screen. And I feel like with Natalie's this season, someone who's going to be a main character the entire season, it just kind of right before tribal, it's like, oh, I think it should be Natalie. Alex, thoughts on how the Natalie boot itself happened, but also what were your thoughts on how the 30s kind of, especially the mid to late 30s, edited, their episodes, specifically, who's going home that round?
Yeah, I do think that this is a thing that I think we see more in returning seasons, and I think that's because returning seasons are more likely for the vote to flip right before and not necessarily give the editors enough to work with, because it's constantly because they're so good and they can flip the vote, flip it back. And I think because of that, it's probably why the editors struggle to have a clear storyline. And I know we definitely got that a lot in Game Changers. You've seen this more recently than me. My thought was that Natalie got voted out because of how close she was to Jeremy, which maybe that put a target, because they were both really close in their original season, and now they're both on the same tribe in this season. So was that what it was?
Yes, towards the end of the strat, it was basically like a little nugget they throw in right before they go to tribal, because most of the episode it's, oh well, Denise and Adam and Rob's here. We've got all of these people. And then it's like, oh well, Jeremy and Natalie are close. Maybe we should split them up. Okay, we're going to tribal now, and that was kind of it. We didn't have any type of build.
Yeah,
It
I
just
think
kind
the
of
editors
happened.
just gave us everything that they had on that, because I do think that that's how it happened.
I think so
Yeah.
too. I think that like the conversation of history like was, woven into every piece of this introductory episode. And like, I mean, like there was longer conversations, like the fear of Rob and Amber having this extended history, to the poker alliance, to there also being to the other conversation of like, well, these people are close, who else has this really long extended bond, and that Natalie and Jeremy definitely are. I would argue, one of the tighter of the bunches.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also, there
so
was old school versus new school, and I definitely think the old school were just happy for it to be anyone that's not them.
yep.
And that actually brings me to my next point, because for the longest time, I felt like that was an exaggerated narrative in the game. Much like the Poker Alliance, I felt like we were being told this over and over again, but wasn't, because we see that a lot in Second Chances. Oh, it's old school versus new school, but it's really beach people versus shelter people, or it's. I feel like that's a very easy narrative to paint over the season of, oh, the only reasons that these people are going home early is because they're old school. When in reality, we know that there are a lot of other factors that kind of go into it that have nothing to do with the fact that they played pre-idols. Alex, for someone who had experience at least with 1 to 2 people from this season, from what you've heard, because a lot of the exit interviews I've watched, it seems like that wasn't actually the big thing going down. It was more pre-game alliances. From your perspective, was it this old school, new school? Was it something else? Was it the pre-game?
I think it's a mixture of a lot of different things, and I think people went in being like, "Ooh, I'm going to use the old school if that benefits me, but if something else benefits me, I'm going to use that too." So, like, because a lot of it is also, I think the old school people maybe want to sometimes stay together, because the idea is that the new school people, it's like, are maybe going to more events, and maybe the old school people don't go to as many events. And so it's like, and you're going to work with the people that you have hung out and had a drink with over people that you're just meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that also, like, Natalie touched on this, especially in like the final tribal, like that she really struggled with building like relationships at the start of the season. Like that's like not her forte. A lot more of her forte is like that cutthroat game style. And so that also could have been something else that could have, been considered in that moment, that she just didn't have enough time to really work the relationship she needed.
Yeah, you rely on what you know and hope that other things come to fruition, and when they don't, you end up in a situation that she gets caught in.
Totally.
Amber is, I feel like, another example of that in the same episode. Okay, so when I talked about Guatemala, I talked about how I love the fact that Danny did what she did as far as like hiding stuff from production, all of that. And I don't do conspiracy theories often, but my conspiracy theory is they tried their best to embarrass the shit out of her this season, because that's like they felt like they were just purposely, because even so the question, the scene I'm thinking about most is the Ben Ethan scene where she's talking about old school, new school. Now, what I noticed today after 6-7 times watching this season is that the audio does not match up with what's happening in the moment. And we see that a lot throughout Survivor history, where they just kind of dub in things that have happened in other places or give confessionals right after things that have nothing to do with. And in this situation, the audio is all over the place, that I feel like our goal is, hey, this person thinks she's bigger than she feels like she tricked us. Let's make her look bad in her boot episode. Am I crazy for at least thinking
I feel like it's not all the same editors. That seems very petty. I don't know. That might be a conspiracy theory.
You're watching too much Survivor, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm watching too much Survivor. I've always been a Boston Rob, like I'm not like I don't love him or anything. It's just okay. I understand what he's done for the show and all of that. The moment that he has with Michelle, is one of my favorite Survivor moments of all time. It's also one of my favorite Boston Rob moments of all time because it's like this is if you need anything else to prove this guy's not this big piece of shit that a lot of people think. He's sitting there telling Michelle, "Fuck the fans, fuck whoever, fuck Aubrey, for all this negativity that has been thrown at you since your season." And I feel like that definitely helps the Michelle narrative the rest of the season. Just this one-off scene that like really doesn't go anywhere as far as their relationship, but I feel like the Michelle narrative really takes off from there. Emily, thoughts on Michelle Fitzgerald going into this season, and just thoughts on this moment, and just anything else that happens with her as the game progresses. If you can stick to the pre-merge, that'd be great.
I don't remember what happened in the pre-merge. I think that, okay, this is what I remember. I'm going to remember off the top of my head. I was also watching this traveling. But like my heart just went out to her the whole season. Like, I think that like, she's someone who, like, whenever you're in a really controversial season, a lot of the time you don't hear from the people after and hear what happened after you get the money, and I think Michelle, to my knowledge, was like one of the first winners that I really saw like speak to that, like publicly, but also with it being featured on Survivor, like acknowledging that she's heard these things about her. And I did really like being able to see that, like, I liked being able to see that fire start to kind of rekindle, especially I could imagine feeling that, like, a little bit of like that imposter syndrome whenever you first start out. I'm trying to remember the other things. Her being on a tribe with Wendell, like within like being alone on an island, like that would be like my 13th reason. That would be like so tough, and she handled that like a G, So that's all I remember. I'm sorry, but if someone else say stuff,
you're good, Alex.
Yeah. No, I thought Michelle plays great this season. I think she has a great arc, and I think she plays great. I feel like maybe her only mistake was voting out Yul, but obviously I'll feel that way. But no, I do think that it would have been better if she voted off Wendell. But I fully understand she has a history with Wendell. That's hard to vote off someone that you have a history with versus someone you just met, even though I think Yul would have been the better ally for her. And then it was hard then the next episode when Wendell gets voted off and she doesn't even know about it. It would have been nice for her to have, especially for her story. It's nice to think of stories, for her to be the reason that Wendell goes.
Yeah. It was weird because, like, I mean, I know that we only saw pieces of the edit, but like the way that he spoke to her and the way that she was acknowledging that it wasn't right and it was not going to be a working relationship, you thought it was going to lead to her taking him out. At least
that would have been the better story, but it doesn't always work out that way. It's not written. It's just the way that it happens. But yeah, I was rooting for that. For sure.
No, sorry, Alex.
We're in the era.
I was also rooting for Yul, and I was like, no, don't do this.
We're in the era of these big moves, and if you don't make big moves, you're not going to win. Even though almost every winner in the big moves era doesn't win by big moves. But Adam Klein, for my money, comes from the season where the most big moves happen for shits and giggles, because Millennials Gen X is a whole bunch of people trying to one-up each other until we get Will Wall saying resume and breaking the game. And to this day, I just don't like Will Wall. But Adam Klein comes into the game. He broke the game by saying, "Oh, resume." Now everyone thinks they have to have a resume to win the game. It's like, you don't. You could just do what every other winner has ever done and just sit up there, say what you have to say, and win. And also, like I said on 33, it was actually Tasha Fox that said it seasons before that, but I can't hate Tasha Fox. I can't hate Will Wall. For Adam Klein, I feel like comes into the season, one as a super fan, but also I feel like he comes in trying to make big moves from jump because we're playing on an all-winner season. Alex, what are your thoughts on how Adam tackled these first few rounds and before eventually getting caught and they end up voting out Ethan that round? But thoughts on how Adam tackled the season, and also what is your view on big moves, not big moves? Like, what for you is the most important thing to the game?
As a viewer, I love watching big moves. I don't think you should make big moves for the sake of making a big move. I I feel like a big move is maybe something you should make if you're in trouble and you need a big move to save yourself. But if you're playing a great game, you should be able to go the whole game without having to make a big move. But they're fun to watch, and I support casting people that want to make big moves because it makes great TV. Now, the best way to win isn't I'm going to make as many big moves as I can. That's what a disaster. But it's great TV. And Adam was doing big things, and he was a complete mess, and I loved every second of it.
My favorite moment.
He's the I guess comedic relief, like, in that, not like a clown way, but like he's a comedic relief of the season, where you enjoy every time he's on camera, whether he's in the numbers or not, whether he's trying to do something crazy or not. You just feel like you're laughing with and sometimes at him, but not in a malicious way. It's just in a okay.
He's also so happy to be there,
exactly.
And it's so fun to watch him there.
So hard. And yet, like, I have two favorite moments, but like with Adam specifically, it's like the one is like he really thinks he's in control of the game, like before the merge, and he like goes up to Rob and he's like he just airs out everyone's laundry, like this is the actual plan, and then he like looks at him in his eyes and he's like, you can trust me. Like he's like so like honest about it, but like he wasn't in control. So like that part is my favorite because he's like so like, I don't know, that was the word I'm looking for, just like very genuine. And then my jumping the gun a little bit, but just quick note, like anytime I need to feel joy when I'm going through a rough patch, like I watch him try to play that not immunity idol, and it really does bring me like a breath of fresh air. I my heart, sweetest little guy.
Yeah. Once again, we don't need 20 people out there doing a bunch of crazy shit. We need some people that are laying low. We need some people like Adam, where just from jump, he's trying to do all these crazy things because, hey, we have to big brain this, we have to big brain that. Hey, I think I might be in control of this. When he gets caught right before the swap, and they get rid of Ethan, even then, it's like, okay, yeah, he's learned his lesson, maybe. And then he has his own little redemption arc during the immunity challenge in the Tyson boot episode, because it's the one where he has to keep jumping and trying to get the key. And he brings up how I guess his teacher told his mom that Adam's not a quitter and all that. And it's like, that was a fine 5-episode story arc where we go from laughing with and at this person to really rooting him on during this immunity challenge. And then, yes, the icing on top is the fake idol that we're going to get to at the merge. But I feel like he's one of the people of the season that does have a fun beginning, middle, and end, where it doesn't seem like he's either laying down for somebody towards the end, or gives up in another person's situation. As far as the swap, I'm glad that they waited. I'm glad that this is one of my big issues with both Game Changers and Cambodia, is that they swap twice before we really get a chance to know who's who on each tribe. This episode, we get 5 boots before we swap, and I think that does give us enough time to know these relationships, who's really working with who's interacted with who, and I think that the fact that it carries over 3 boots until the merge. Alex, just thoughts on the swap portion of this game? I know Emily brought up earlier the Michelle Wendell of it all, but just a few of these other new relationships that we get here, and how they're going to carry us into this later portion of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I like the later swap. I like the swap, although we lose like a lot of great people after the swap, and that's tough. But it's fun. Yeah, on these returning seasons, I love seeing new players interact with each other that have never interacted before, and that's the fun of it. But yeah, the swap. I was happy with the swap until people started getting voted out. I guess I'll say that.
Like I texted y'all both earlier, the swap caused COVID.
Wait,
we lose Sandra and Barbie as the whirlwinds.
Oh, I hated the
Yeah.
swap. I just remembered that I hated it. I was like, yeah, it was fine. I couldn't remember the big things.
Yeah, that was the big double boot episode, and
That
it's
was
like, wow, we're
the
losing
double
these
episode.
two in this episode.
And
Wow.
COVID's happening. That's crazy. All in one day. Yeah, that was let me tell you, okay, like game respects game, like that was a slay, okay, literally. But that was like the most devastating moment of my Survivor life, watching Denise vote out Sandra, because that was like it was tough on a few fronts, because like Sandra kind of has and I've met Sandra before, like just as iconic as she is in person, like love of my life. But when she has like the reputation of being like very cold, cutthroat, that's how she plays her game. Anyone but me, and to see the moment that she gives a little bit of an inch, and just like her heart went out, and I would have loved to see a powerhouse duo between her and Denise. That would have been the best day of my whole life. However, that was not in the cards. And I do think that was crazy cold to me. I was like game respects game, but that was a wild play.
Alex,
I don't know. I don't think it was the right move, though.
I was going to say, do you think it was a big move for big move's sake?
Yeah.
Tony would have been the right move. Obviously, we know now, but wouldn't we think that Tony would have been the right one?
Well, yeah, because also Sandra, this is someone who's showing that she wants to work with you, and also if Sandra go to the end with Sandra, Sandra's exactly who I would want to work with on that season. Okay, Tony is who I would be afraid to work with and afraid of having in the game because he's such chaos. And Sandra if she's on your side, she's loyal. And what a great ally to have. And also, I don't think Sandra's in this season being like, I'm going to win. I mean, you never know, obviously, but unlikely that she's going to be the third-time winner with all these other winners. It's unlikely. And I think she's the perfect ally. And yeah, I think Tony is the obvious move here.
Furthermore, why didn't Sandra? Well, I guess because she just didn't want the blame to go back on her. But why didn't she? If she knew the votes were going on Denise, why didn't she just play it for Denise and take out Tony? Too flashy.
I agree. I also think that was a mistake on Sandra's part. She was worried about putting too big a target on her, but I don't think she needs to worry about that. I think that was not something she should have worried about. She should have done it. It would have been a great moment. I wish she did that. I think they're both sort of at fault here.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Yeah, and I do feel like both are guilty in this moment of big move for big move's sake. Now, Denise obviously a lot bigger because she's the one that actually succeeds in the move that she tries to pull off. But it doesn't help her at all. It helps her get towards the end, but she's always at the bottom of this Tony Sarah disciples alliance that really, it kind of sucks the air out of it, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. Before we hit the merge, Alex, I know that you said you worked with Yule, but did you have any actual winner picks going in just based off of what you wanted?
It's funny. I mean, obviously I'm rooting for Yule, but my other winner pick was Natalie Anderson.
Oh no.
Emily, same question.
I stand by that as a pick. I thought I still think it was a great pick. You know,
it's a good pick. Yeah. And you still came in second. You know,
no, it was what a roller coaster that pick was.
Yeah, I picked. I love Jeremy. I'm a Jeremy stan through and through, and I thought that you need the same kind of level of just very calm, self-control that he and both Natalie have, and I thought that they were both really solid fits. Unfortunately, that did not work in my favor.
So Jeremy was my winner pick going in, and for basically the same reasons. I think that maybe 2 episodes in, I started thinking Sophie was actually going to win. It just felt like the Sophie storyline was it was shown here, it was shown there. And I would say going into the merge portion of the game, it's Sophie's, because I had just entered the online Survivor community, a community that I'd never been a part of. I was just watching on my own. I learned about these things called winner edits and all of this. This is crazy. Based off of this 2-day thing that I just read on the internet, I think the winner edit is saying Sophie. And we're going to get to Sophie's downfall as we hit the merge. But the next question would be, based off of what you were seeing on the show, who were y'all's front runners by the time we were hitting the merge?
I knew it wasn't going to be Ben because he was getting really messy and I was loving it. Like he was just like airing out everyone's laundry. So like then I was like, okay, like I thought that maybe he might do well, and then that kind of fell off. Jeremy, I still stayed pretty strong. And you know who I was really also impressed with was Kim Spradlin. Like, I think that, like, the fact that she was the only, like, old schooler who made it that far and was able to kind of go with the flow, that I was high on her. And then also on Sarah Lucina. I thought that she was playing a really decent game. And she was getting great at it. So,
Alex?
Yeah, I was fully rooting for Sophie, and I felt good about Sophie. I thought she was playing well. I felt like she was well positioned. And, I really, obviously, you change one tiny thing and it can change everything.
mm-hmm.
But she was working very closely with Yule. And there's that immunity challenge where I think they lose by like a second or something, like Wendell in that puzzle. And if that goes the other way, I think they vote out Tony and then Yule stays. And I think entering the merge with Tony gone and Yule in the game, I think Sophie is in the best position she possibly could. And it's just that one little thing, because Tony ends up, obviously being her downfall. And it's also sort of her trusting Sarah to control Tony, which no one can control Tony.
Yeah. Trish tried and it didn't work. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up things happening on the edge, specifically because one of our final three does come from the edge eventually. It's not my favorite moment, but my most memorable moment from the edge is, so my running gag the first 11, 12 days of this is survivors trying to kill their players. And then we stop doing that for a while. And then we go to Cambodia for 2 seasons in a row where they try to kill their players again. And then we stop for a while. We go to the Edge of Extinction Part 1. And hey, we're just going to climb this big mountain every day to get a cup full of rice. We're going to try to kill you again. And now in season 40, the challenge that they try to kill Ethan in is so over the top extreme. It was like you have to bring these 20 logs down. You have to run up the hill, bring these 20 logs down the hill. Watching that, because I think that's the Tyson boot episode, I'm fairly certain. Watching that and then watching Tyson being voted out, I know they're at the same thing, but you just feel horrible for this man, Ethan, who was in a fairly good spot on his OG tribe. And it's really Adam Klein's fault that things kind of go south for him. Alex, as someone who's been watching from day one, thoughts on Ethan being back for a third game and just everything happening with Ethan specifically in this episode.
Yeah, listen, first of all, I'm glad you said it's Adam's fault. I agree. Please tell Ethan that if you see him, because Ethan blames me.
Why does he blame you?
I agree. He shouldn't. I think he's just looking for anyone to blame because he wasn't in the poker alliance, but he thinks because of that is why he lost. And I don't know. He told me I ruined his life, but I don't know if he was half joking or not. But if you ever see Ethan, please tell him that it's Adam's fault and not mine.
But thoughts on Ethan.
I love Ethan. I was rooting for Ethan. I was so happy to see him back. Liz, I still love Ethan. We got along great until Jordan Kalish told him about me and the poker line.
I didn't bring that up. I didn't bring up Jordan the other day. I had Jordan on for I can't remember. Ghost Island, something like that. I think I have Ghost Island. So we hit the merge, and Denise is sitting there saying how she conquered the queen and it's an all-time move and all this other stuff. And we also get the return of Tyson. Now we know from as people that know the show's edited that it was actually a lot closer. Like, and Yule was in on it, and they have to do 2 balls instead of the one in the episode. I'm fairly certain. And so we do get Tyson back, which is one of the people that I was rooting for to get back in because he does add entertainment to the show, whether he is shown prominently like he is in Blood vs. Water, or even in his 4 or 5 scenes in Heroes vs. Villains. Tyson is someone that I enjoy seeing on the screen. And the game really turns into this. This is where the Tony show starts, but like it doesn't become a full thing until the extortion episode. So going into the merge, we have a few boots of Wendell.
Wait, can I say
Adam.
something quickly about that challenge?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think it's a little unfair that I feel like the people who were voted out earlier sort of have an advantage because they had all this time to get these fire tokens and buy these advantages. Obviously, I'm Team Yule, but Yule is the last one to show up, and he has no opportunities to get any advantage of any kind. And I just think it's unfair for the person that lasts longer in the game is at a disadvantage at this challenge. Like,
okay, there might be a problem with the fire tokens. You're right.
It's a better
fire tokens.
It's like Tyson was in a good position getting voted out where he was. I mean, I just think that maybe there should have been also like advantages and disadvantages based on when you got voted out, so that like there's maybe a head start to the most recent person voted out or something. Because it did feel unfair, and you shouldn't be at a disadvantage because you played better.
That's a good point.
And that's why I like how they did it in Edge of Extinction 1. So like Keith finds a disadvantage while on the Edge of Extinction and gives it to Chris during the battle back. Like everyone, it's basically even across the board, except for Chris finds an advantage that he uses for himself, and Keith finds a disadvantage that he gives to Chris, but it's not based off of how they were voted out. It's not based off of how many tokens they have. It's just based off of what work you put in while you're on the edge. And that's why I do prefer Edge 1 as far as a twist, because of, and one of those reasons is what Alex has said of you. There is a unfairness, I guess, of when you go out, because especially because you have to bequeath all of your tokens on the way out, so you can't even, you're the last boot before the merge, you can't even use those tokens to get something last second before you do the battle back the next day. You're just you're gonna have to rely on what you have, and thankfully, Yule does do well in it, and I do think it's because everyone on the edge is just eating rice the entire time. Yule has had chances.
Yule did well, but he didn't have any advantages, and I think Tyson did. And so I think if it was an even playing field, I think Yule could have won that.
But like, here's my thing, guys. So then, okay, sure. I agree. Maybe like he should have had some extra, like, some extra comfort or like an extra cushion for that first challenge. Okay. But then they had another one, when they got to the final 6, and Yule had a butt ton of time to try to get back and get into the game. And he didn't, So I feel like
at this point, Natalie's so doped up on peanut butter.
I know.
She's been eating it since round 2 that like she's going and also she's like CrossFit Jesus, like
I know
it's
she's like Popeye ready to go.
I mean, by the last challenge to get back in the game, it's like the whole cast is competing. That's like, it's really tough.
Yeah, but
it got a little messy.
We ultimately get Tyson back in the game, and like Gabe said, it does feel like he becomes relatively invisible by the time we get back, because we do have a lot of play. And once again, we have to focus on the Tony Alliance. We have to focus on the Minority Alliance now, which I feel like is headed by Jeremy, Kim, and Michelle. One of the live tribals, you can say what you want about them. One of my favorite live tribal moments is the Sophie getting her alliance to just say, hey, we're all just going to go over here. We're going to do this. And y'all are just going to have to deal with it. Alex.
I love Sophie's edit this season. It's the edit that I wish we got of Sophie in South Pacific, but it's like we're seeing more Sophie, and Sophie's a great character, and I'm glad we got to see her in action here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a. I wish she had gotten this edit too, but it doesn't feel like a disconnect. Like, what I mean by that is, there are sometimes the returning play, Michaela, for example. In 33, she's portrayed as one way, and in 34, she's portrayed a totally different way, and I feel like that's not the case with Sophie here, where it feels like we're just getting more Sophie screen time.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
doing the exact same thing that we saw her do in South Pacific, except for we don't have Coach hijacking, everything that's going on in the show.
Yeah.
Just these, like I said, Emily brought up the Adam Klein idol moment. There's a lot of fun to be had at the first part of this merge. Sophie getting up, getting everyone to go. Jeremy fucking off because like, hey, sorry guys, like, and the people that he abandons are not the people that get upset with him. It's Ben and his crew that get upset with him. And I think that's where that switch kind of goes off in my head of I don't think I like this as much anymore. The nostalgia had kind of started to wear off. You started to see where this was kind of going, and I think it starts with the Sophie Boot episode, which I believe is the family visit. My favorite episode of the season and probably of the 30s, or I guess it's 40, but of the post 30s era, because of oh my God, there's our family's Natalie Anderson, Tyson talking about it. This is what he does for a living to his kids. Thoughts on the family visit, and then also everything going to the Sophie blindside. And we'll start with you.
I'm good because I was gonna start anyway. I was like 2 glasses of Chardonnay deep, like on a plane coming back from California, weeping. Like the girl next to me was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "You don't get it," That to me, like anytime I want to feel something, like that's what I watch. Jeremy Collins' family scene, I've watched it 1,000 times. I could watch it 1,000 more. And then like you think that it's all done, like when they're all just like vibing on the beach. And then like you see everyone from Edge of Extinction and Natalie does the, oh my God, it's our families. And I was donezo too. And it was so cute to see all the little ambas,
The little ambas.
It was so nice. Definitely, I think that was a minute where while things were getting a little bit chaotic and maybe we weren't loving all like the last minute gameplay and things were getting a little bit dry, like having that moment of actual like sentimentality, if that's a word, really brought me back to home base,
Yeah. I agree. What more can be said? I mean, there's a lot to be said about not liking Edge of Extinction, but it gave us this beautiful moment, and it was so cool that everyone got the visit. I did not expect that, and it was nice because it also felt like it was like production giving back to these players that have done so much for the show, and it was a beautiful moment. And then wait, isn't there a moment later where like Rob thanks Jeff?
Yeah, they go hug Jeff. Yeah,
and he's like, hey, probes or something, and then they all go. Yeah,
is that why they hugged him? I didn't know why they did that.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And they go hug Jeff. It's a cute little moment, but like Alex, on the other end of that, the Sophie blindside, because this is where the Tony show like goes into full effect. And I think when we talk about big moves for the sake of big moves, this is not one of them. This is basically what he does to Trish with LJ and Cagayan. It's like, I'm going to get the person away from them because she could have options. I'm going to remove the options so that Sarah has to be with me, just like he did with Trish. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh, great move. Great move. I mean, I'm sad to see it because I loved Sophie. And yeah, felt bad to see Sophie go without an idol and feel the pain when she gets voted out. But it's a great move, and it's Tony doing what he does best. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is when the Tony edit really goes into gear.
Did they know that she had an idol in her pocket? Like, I think that was.
I don't think they did. No, she didn't tell anyone. And until she gets voted out, and it's just like idol in my pocket.
Out of my pocket, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that was the moment that I realized, oh shit, Tony's gonna win. You're gonna have to accept it or not accept it. And thankfully, I don't dislike Tony, so it's like, okay, I'm fine with this as long as, and I feel like everything met my expectations as far as what he does the rest of the season, and my issues kind of come with everyone else that he's working with, the exception of Sarah. Next question, Emily, how many days are in 2 weeks?
10 or whatever he said. I don't know. Well, that was another favorite scene from mine. Whenever I want to feel something, watching them go back and forth about how many days are in 2 weeks is like my favorite moment. It's too good.
Alex, just any of these types of moments in the merge kind of stand out. Just like these laid back, we're just having fun watching these people that we've grown up with over the last 20 years interacting with each other.
It's great. I'm realizing now I think I was supposed to rewatch this season. I've been talking all about this from memory.
You remember more than me, because right now I'm like, oh God, what niche questions are you going to ask me?
I did not rewatch the season, but I did like look over the Wikipedia, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember this. But when you talk about like a specific small moments, that those are harder to recall.
It's the best moment of the whole season. What do you mean?
Those are harder to recall. And listen, I don't think for any of these I've rewatched the seasons. Was I supposed
well,
to?
no, and we ended up sitting. Yeah, I was saying we did Caramel or whatever it was. I don't know if it was Caramel or Game Changers you did last time, but like we sat there for a bit talking about it. So that yes,
I just always have a lot to say about any season of Survivor. So I usually can fake it, but your question right now got me. I don't think I can fake a small moment.
We're introduced to the 50-50 coin this season. A twist. So like as someone who's not the biggest fan of idols and advantages and all of that, the 50-50 coin is on the less egregious side because we don't lose a vote. Like the only bad thing that can happen is the votes don't get negated and we kind of see what happens. I wish the 50-50 coin had stuck around a lot longer. I think we've only had it back maybe once, maybe less.
Did it evolve into the Mr. Beast coin?
It evolved into the Mr. Beast coin, but you're auto-eliminated if you.
But like, has it always? Every time they've used the coin, hasn't it always flipped in the person's favor? Like, I'm trying to think of a time where.
Well, my thing is, I think it's only happened. I don't think it has happened since there. It's not like do or die.
No, I thought there was one other case, but I could be wrong.
There's one other case.
Was it? No, because do or die is what I'm thinking of.
In the 40s, there was something like that, or was that do or die? It wasn't.
Well, do or die was like, they got it twice, and it worked both times. And they're like, hey, we don't need this to not go right, so let's just stop here.
I hope they do that. The same thing with the Mr. Beast coin.
Mr. Beast, because you could only luck out so many times.
It's like, don't push your luck with this. Don't push your luck. Yeah.
But it's one of these twists that, as someone who doesn't like advantages twists, I'm all right with. It's very similar to I don't mind Shot in the Dark. I don't mind Shot in the Dark. I'm going to talk a lot more about that tomorrow, but I don't, because at the end of the day, it's not game breaking. Something like an idol nullifier is, which I talked ad nauseum about it last night, where idol nullifier is one of the most broken advantages in the game, especially if you put in all of this time to do this, that, and the other, find these idols. And I like it when it's played in David vs. Goliath. I hate it when it gets played in Isle of the Idols, and that might be where some of my bias comes from. Probably a lot of where my bias comes from, but I don't care. When I talk about how the show becomes a Tony show, the Tony show aspect of this season is fine. It's great. The extortion episode is one of my favorite episodes of the season and probably of all time. Just him reading the letter and realizing what has happened. Now, I brought up earlier about the fire tokens and how it's basically screwing this person if he can't get them. The other issue is, at this point, Tony has Nick, Ben, and Denise really just coming along for the ride. It's him and Sarah, but I don't know. For me, it was always, and Sarah brings up the gender bias thing a little bit later, and we're going to get to that. But it never felt like if Sarah had sat there that they would have given her the credit that they do give Tony ultimately at the end of the game. Emily, what did you think of this alliance? Just, I know it kind of changes here and there, but it's mainly the two of them plus Ben, Nick, and Denise. What did you think of that crew?
It was fine. I think that it was like, I mean, I know that I kind of have it from like an outside perspective where I'm just seeing the edit, but like, again, like from the edit, like it was really clear who was controlling the entirety of the alliance and keeping everyone in line versus like the people on the bottom, like, I don't know, like, and so that's basically all I really have to say about it. Like, I think that like the other thing was, I didn't realize how close Ben and Sarah were until Ben sealed his own fate. So I think that was interesting. And whenever we got there, but besides that, it was like just a quirky little bunch of like little Survivor winners that like you would have never expected to work together in a million years, and that was okay.
Really? That's like the group that, minus Denise, that was like a group that I definitely saw working together for
Little
other reasons.
Adam. Wait, no, not Adam.
No.
Nick.
Nick.
Little Nick.
Yeah. Nick, Sarah, Tony, and Ben. And to the point where like Ben just starts hating Jeremy randomly. And it just becomes, I won't say it's uncomfortable. It doesn't become uncomfortable. It's just like, it's weird that you're holding this much of a grudge against this guy for not allowing you to vote him out, when that's the entire point of why he plays his advantage.
That's why I like him though. He's been so messy the whole season. Like, and I didn't know that he was going to be the chaotic queen that we needed, but like started from the very beginning, was like airing out everyone's laundry, was like telling everyone else's secrets, like, and then by the end he just wanted it his way. And I think that we need someone that's that big of a disruptor. I just never would have bet my life that it would have been him. You know what I mean?
He also tries to lay down for Sarah at the end. It was like, hey, vote me out because I'm not going to win anyway.
Yeah.
It just felt off, Alex.
Yeah. Well, I'm very disappointed in Denise because listen, if you're going to make that move against Sandra and get Sandra, at least give me something, at least do something. It feels like she does that and then she does nothing. And it's like she's handing Tony the game. I don't understand why. And I'm like, listen, you can get rid of Sandra, but then you got to play hard and do something and fight to get to the end. But why are you taking away this player that we all love and want to see, and then you stop playing? Like, what's up with that?
I think that like the big thing that I was noticing by the end was just like the decision fatigue that was like happening within all the players, because it's like they thought they had a plan, and then 4 seconds later someone would drop another bomb, and like they none of them could all get on the same page. I think that's the hard thing about working with all winners. It's like they all want to be in control all the time,
All I can think is Ben knew the jury was going to rake him over the coals and gave up. That's a problem. That is a problem for a season that everyone. Well, I think people are slowly starting to turn on this season. Thankfully, I think people are starting to turn on the season because of what the back half looks like. But I just remember at the time, it's like, why is a winner? I understand decision fatigue. I get that, but to basically lay down and say, "Hey, Sarah, just vote me up because I'm not going to win." Mainly, these people are going to tear him apart. Who cares? They tore him apart in HHH because him and Chrissy had no social game to talk of or to speak of, and they tore them apart, and it was fine. They tore apart Sarah and Game Changers, one of the actual most bitter juries ever, because these people were so overly pissed off at Sarah and still give her the win, because bitter juries does not mean I'm going to vote bitterly, if that makes sense. I feel like this is a situation where people, if Ben sits at the end, yeah, they could tear him apart all they want, but they feel like he did better, especially with this jury of all winners. I think they could have given him the credit. And so it just feels weird that he just kind of goes out with a whimper. And, with the Ponderosa videos of the Ponderosa is not very kind to Denise or Ben. They're not fans of either of them when they show up. And I don't say good reason because I'm not out there with them, but it didn't feel as weird as, for instance, when Jessica and Sunday and Monsters Gen X are going after each other. It's like, that's weird. We're not showing anything to make us understand why this is the case. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Ben just gave up, because I was very confused because he tried to frame it like he was doing it for Sarah, right? But,
yes.
But wouldn't he have been more valuable to Sarah if he stayed in the game? Couldn't he help her more by being in the game and either winning immunity and bringing her, or giving her immunity and then he goes to fire, or just helping her in any, he's more useful. It didn't make any sense what he was saying.
Yes.
So I think that's the only thing that does make sense, is that he was giving up.
I thought it kind of made sense, by the end, because at the end, okay, now my memory is going to fail me because it's past my bedtime, normally. But okay, so it was Ben, and then it was Tony and Sarah, and then who was the fourth person that was involved? Was it Michelle? Oh, my bad. Okay, so
Michelle. Yeah, Michelle was still there. Yep.
Yeah, so it was only those 4 left, right? So I think that like at that point, they had, right, or was there one more?
I think.
I
don't
think
know
Natalie was back.
Natalie was back. Natalie's back.
Oh, okay, right. So I think that like that Ben really wanted to give her the last shot that she possibly had to differentiate her game from Tony with the amount of time they had left. Like there probably was also like that selfishness involved, being like, "There's no way I'm gonna make it, and I'm tired," you know. But like, I think there's like I also understand like if they were as close as they made us believe they were, you know, like that was the only way that she could have really like won the game itself if she made it to the end.
Well, if I'm Sarah, I'm like, please stay in the game and help me more.
help me while you're here, please. Like,
I'd rather have someone who wants me to win so bad that they'll do whatever I say. Isn't that what's going to help me?
Maybe, yeah, you're right. Yeah, but like I feel like maybe in their mind they were like, okay, well, Michelle's not going to win from according to the jury. The jury probably wouldn't want to wouldn't want to consider Natalie, you know, so it would be like them, like Tony.
I think they were worried about Natalie because
and we're gonna
you sort of have the advantage when you're the one hanging out with the whole jury.
Yeah, and we'll
which
get
is
to
sort of the flaw of Edge of Extinction.
True.
So before we get to that final 3 and then everything kind of happens in the finale, I do kind of want to talk about one, hands raised. Is Sandra's leaving the Edge considered a quit to you personally? Yes.
Quit adjacent maybe, but not. It's not a quit.
Yeah, I
would have liked to see her stay. I understand why she didn't, but I wouldn't consider it a quit.
I don't think I'd consider it a quit because also like full context, she was just on an island like for 39, right? Like wasn't like they were just stranded there. I would have been donezo too. Like I would have done every single thing. Well, maybe not, but like I think that after everything that she did, like she didn't think that she was gonna make it back, and like that like challenges weren't her thing, and that was it, you know.
And she didn't quit for Zens. So
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And we brought this up during the Edge of Extinction recap of, at least in that season, you're given the option of fuck off or stay. Here, it's everyone. It's at least for what we're shown. It's just you immediately go to Edge of Extinction. So I do feel like even if the option was there, Sandra would have immediately taken it and not raised the flag.
Yeah.
And would have gone. I don't think anyone would have turned an eye to it. It would have just been something that happened. But I'm
just selfish because I like Sandra, so I wanted to see her on the show more.
Selfishly, like I think it's rude they didn't put her on the jury. Like that sucks. Like you know,
it would have been great to see her on the jury.
Yeah. I'd love to
see her. Maybe she could have somehow stumbled across a fire token and done something with it. It just would have been nice to see her do more stuff.
Even just give her like she was so close to the end. She could have like sputtered on a bottle of wine, hung out for a little while. You know, I just wanted to see her where she deserved to be, which is in the throne of the jury. You know.
Yeah.
But we do ultimately get Natalie back, and based off of what we've seen on the show up to this point, I do feel like it's one of those, I won't say obvious, but I would say that based off of the content that we've gotten when we're on the Edge, Natalie was definitely a front runner to get back into the game. Once again, she's built like a brick shit house, and she's eating nothing but peanut butter while she's out there, and shown that she's in better shape than all these people. And she's accumulating all of these advantages throughout her time there, that when she does ultimately get back, I do like it does. That entire scene resonates with me because it's that, and then Jeff basically does the, hey, why did you come back for this time? And I like those moments, and it's one of those moments that, once again, the modern day fandom seems to hate. Like, oh, we can't see people be emotional anymore. Like this is soft. Everyone's soft now. It's like, I appreciate sitting here learning about, what drives these people, what brought them back. Just Alex, quickly, thoughts on, I know Sophie and Yule and all these other people, but were you excited to see Natalie back at this end game portion? And did you think that she had any chances of potentially winning based off what we saw in 38?
Yeah, I mean, she, like I said, she was my winner pick. So I'm like back in this. Yes.
You're so bad.
was like, I did make a good
realistically,
pick.
like,
But I'll fully root for someone that comes back from the edge, but it's like, I don't know. I think I want them to come back in the edge, like at the merge, like coming back this late and being voted out so early. It wouldn't. I didn't think it would be a good winner for the season, especially after Chris Underwood. Now, what I will say about Chris Underwood is that finale of Edge of Extinction is so entertaining. That's great, but we're not here to talk about that. But I didn't want that for 40, right? I feel like that would be lame for 40 to have it go that way. So I was definitely rooting for Tony. At this point, I felt like he was the most deserving, and I was excited for Natalie because I think she's a great player. But I was hoping that Tony would win because I like whoever played the best game. I want to root for them to win. They don't always win. And also, I think the winner is always deserving of the win, but I just root for who I think is playing the best game to win.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it would be really ironic for the first loser to be the winner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that to me, like, it does really shine a big light on the great flaw of Edge of Extinction, which is giving them the ability to get in at that final 6. Because, like, Chris Underwood won. I know that there's a debate about like if they deserve to win or not, you know, but I know that there definitely was a very controversial win at that. And then like to have the second place winner, you know, for this season also, you know, like be the first person out or one, like in that regard, I'm like that can be a little bit, I don't know, a little controversial.
Yeah.
I was more rooting for Tony at this point.
It's sort of like, it invalidates so much of the story of the season, like that you're following. That's how I definitely felt with Edge of Extinction, is like, I'm following this story. And then you get to the end, you're like, none of that mattered. It felt like, and you want it to feel like every episode and the whole story that it matters, that you're watching. There's a reason you're watching this, and that the story arc is going to lead somewhere satisfying.
Absolutely.
Well, that's for the longest time. And I feel like I probably still agree with this. But whenever people shit on the Chris win. I'm not saying that y'all. I'm not saying that's what y'all are doing. I'm saying when people shit on the Chris win, I always say, okay, so would y'all have hated if Ozzy had won South Pacific because he does return late in the game, or would we have hated Tina if she had won Blood versus Water because she also returns late in the game? And I think the answer is no, we wouldn't have. But I'd like to go off of what Alex was saying earlier about what the because those seasons aren't an all-winner season, I think that's what makes it different. I think that because even with Edge of Extinction, I like Chris is my least favorite winner, but I love the finale portion of his game. And yes, he was just generic white guy number 1 the first 3 episodes, but like his finale episode, when we talk about big moves, of all the winners in the 30s, made the biggest move of those winners by going to fire against Rick and giving the necklace away. I think that with Tina and Ozzy, people would not have looked at it as, oh, it's not fair because they didn't play all of these days. It would be, oh, that's awesome that they came back and were able to win. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I'll also say that they were more involved in the story of each of those seasons, and like Ozzy, getting voted out multiple times, coming back. It's like I feel like that both of those are different from Chris. Tina seemed more involved. Tina like made it to the merge, right? And Ozzy told his tribe to vote him out so he could win his way back in. Like, these are dramatic things that are like substantial in the season. Whereas, you did have Chris. There's really nothing substantial until the very final episode.
He caught a stingray at some point on Edge of Extinction. That's all I know.
And the editors were like, we need to find, this guy won. We need to find whatever footage we have of him and put it in the show.
That's what they did. They went into panic mode. That's all I've got.
Oh, he caught a fish once. Great. That's his winner edit.
And going off of what Gabe is saying in the chat, and this is, it is also shown that Chris has a great social game on the edge. Like we do get a lot of moments of him helping out with everyone, having these talks with everyone at the Edge of Extinction, which goes into why so many of the jurors do vote for him. And the exact opposite is going to happen this season, where we're going to get to Michelle's underdog story also happening actually in game, where she's been on the bottom basically since merge and has somehow found her way going into Final Three after she does a callback to her kicking over the tower. One of my favorite moments in both Ko-Rong and in Winners at War. We have some motion for Final Four, and we have Sarah versus Tony. Probably my favorite Final Four fire making.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the only times we get to see Tony be emotional outside of when his family comes earlier this season. It is a perfect ending to the Cops R Us storyline. Them sitting at the end, I feel like would have potentially taken away, but who's to say? I feel like them going at each other in that Final Four, Tony winning, saying, "I'm sorry, Sarah, I'm sorry." Sarah trying to cheer him up. I guess we're supposed to call it Lucina now. I'm not doing that.
I'm trying, but he kept forgetting, and I was like, "All right, we're just going to go." She's on her way out anyway.
Just Emily, everything with Final Four fire making.
You hit everything perfectly. I really like specifically how Tony says Sarah while he's crying. I can't explain why. It's like a vocal stem, he's like, Sarah, like it sounds like it's like out of a Robert De Niro movie or something. But I thought that it did a really good job at really putting a really, really big bow on that relationship, just as you said.
Alex, we also, before this Final Four, we do get the Sarah Lucina gender bias dialogue with Jeff, and it's one of my favorite things about doing the marathon the way that I do is like picking up on these moments, because I know what's going to happen later. I know what's going to happen in 39 is going to happen, and looking at how it's portrayed in other seasons. 40. Jeff's outright saying, "Hey, I know that I've had a lot of these moments." Like, yeah, you sure have. Are you shocked that it took this long? It filmed in 2019, aired in 2020. Were you shocked that it took to now for this conversation to be, pulled into the forefront?
Great question. Well, I don't know, because I don't think they're not telling the contestants to say this to Jeff. I feel like it happened organically.
Organically.
Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's organic.
But I think it does make sense to me that it would be like a returning player season they would have like the confidence to bring that up to Jeff, right? I feel like if it's your first time playing, maybe certain people would feel like they could talk to Jeff like that, but I think it's because it's a returning player that it feels like a safer place to have that conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and because we briefly get it in 39, but because of everything that's happening, I just kind of check out when that conversation is happening, and I feel like because this season doesn't have a dark cloud, I'm more receptive to what the dialogue
It feels like it's more positive. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that they kind of try. Like, I don't know if this conversation happened prior, or if this was something that was said before anything was aired, but like, especially after everything happened with 39, it was almost like they needed to address it again once the waters cooled down a little bit. You know what I mean? And they should have, and I'm glad that they did. That's all.
We have. Sorry, I froze there.
That's okay. You're doing great.
We get to our final three.
You're doing so good.
It's our final three.
We did it, guys.
Oh, we did it.
We get to our final three. No, I didn't freeze.
I thought you were frozen there. I was like, oh my God.
No, I was staring at y'all. We get to our final three. And I think that all three do very well. It seems like the jury is very receptive to a lot of it. Doesn't seem like they're trying to bury anyone. It doesn't seem like anyone's just sitting there to get chastised the entire time. Sophie's dying because she's been sick for the last couple of days, and now they're getting rained on. Adam is eating up everything that Tony is saying. You can see that they're listening to what Michelle has to say. And Natalie, they're talking a lot about the edge game that has happened here. So a couple things that I kind of want to point out. Obviously, this is one of those things that you have to, inside baseball, basically, of apparently not shown in the edit. Natalie's not doing the best socially, on the edge of extinction. A lot of people have been kind of turned off to a lot of the stuff that she has done and or said out there, which leads to what's something that Alex alluded to earlier of it knowing that it makes more sense why Michelle got 0 votes, because it does seem like people went in potentially wanting to vote for Michelle, but they were afraid of something happening and Natalie, catching more votes than she needs to. But with that knowledge, Alex, I know you said you didn't do the rewatch for this, but from what you can remember, just how do you think they performed, and were there any questions that kind of stood out to you, or any moments that stood out to you?
I remember they all performed well. I was obviously rooting for Tony, but I remember being surprised that Michelle didn't get any votes. But afterwards, I heard that exact thing, that yes, there was concern that splitting votes for Michelle. Some people wanted to vote for Michelle, but they didn't think that Michelle was going to have the votes to win, and they wanted to make sure that Tony was going to win. So like Michelle, no vote finalist, but she deserves to have votes. She played a good game, and I actually prefer her game, I think, here to Go Wrong. Not that I dislike her game in Go Wrong, but I don't know. I think she had, I think they're both good games, but I feel like she was dealing with a lot. I feel like a lot of those later episodes where like Tony and Sarah running things and everyone else is following them, I felt like Michelle was like the only opposition, and she was like the smartest one who was trying to be like, we need to do something, but no one was listening. Like she couldn't get anything going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She called Nick an idiot, like at some point. I don't know if she actually used the word idiot. I think she did. Like,
sounds like her.
That's on the facts. But like, I think that she was the only one on the opposition with a very rational mind, of like every time like the others, we're gonna get lost niche over here, but like the other group who weren't in the majority alliance, like did something so dumb, that definitely was working in their detriment. She was like, y'all, like, what are we doing? Like, this is actually what they see it in this, like, this is actually why they're proposing this, or this is what they were actually saying whenever they said this. And I thought that was like, she the best social read. Unfortunately, like, again, it's just sometimes it's just a matter of like circumstances and like timing, and like everything she tried to throw didn't land. And like that's why I said like at the start, like my heart's went out to the girl, because she really did do everything she possibly could with what she had.
Yeah. Literally from the bottom at the merge to sitting at final 3 by just, one, being likable, more likable than everybody in her alliance, whatever that means, winning when she had to, doing what she had to do to get to that point, and then bonding with the person that has now entered back into the game to make sure that y'all are on the same page. Michelle Fitzgerald's one of my favorite players just in general. And I'll talk all about 50 in 9-10 days.
You look so excited.
But like I really like, if she never plays again, I think this is a great 2-season story arc. Alex, go ahead.
Also, I have a theory. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. That if let's say it's a final 2, and the final 2 is Natalie and Michelle. Now I know Natalie beats Michelle here, but I think if it was that final 2, I think maybe Michelle wins.
I think Michelle wins.
She would totally win. Absolutely.
Even better, worse. If you put Sarah there instead of Tony, I think that the votes are all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I think all 3 of them catch votes. And we could we could get a Natalie win in that spot, but like, But yeah, I do think about that a lot, of like Michelle could win against almost anybody else that's not Tony this season, based off of what the final 6 and or 7 look like. Obviously, our reunion is filmed from Jeff's garage, as we are in peak COVID by this point. The finale even starts with him saying, "Yeah, what a weird time we're all living in." Michelle is drinking wine with her sister, which I would be too, and I was at that time. Tony's in there with his family. I think Natalie's there with her boyfriend at the time. And we kind of it's so weird watching it end on Zoom to this day. You know, 6 years ago was weird. Watching it today, it was weird of just seeing what we were living in at that point. And I've always said that 40 and 41 are my most recent nostalgia seasons. And I want to see how I feel about that tomorrow with 41. But Emily, final thoughts before we get to our final questions, or two final questions. Emily, final thoughts on Winners at War.
I think that it's an acquired taste, you know? I think that, like, as someone who's loved Survivor from the beginning with a little bit of a hiccup in the middle, like, I return back to it. Like, you go back to your first love, you know, there's nothing like it. I guess. But like, to me, I'm like, I just feel like whenever you have a critical eye to see what happened before and what happened after, it's a really, really cool bridge to kind of explore what could have been and what was and what wasn't, you know? Definitely made me like Tony more because I'm not a big Kagayan person. So I think that was like a huge, I know, very hot take there too.
Wow.
I know I'm the first person you ever heard say that, but I really, really did love this season. Really did grow on me, which is why I wanted to do it with you today.
Alex?
I like the season. I liked it when it aired. I mean, the problem is, you know, I mean, I like a lot of the people on this season, but you know, it's sad to see a lot of them go. But that's the price you pay. But I think Tony played a great game. He's a deserving winner. It's fun to see him play. He's one of those rare, like, he's such a big character and yet also a great player. And it's like usually that those don't always go hand in hand. Usually, like, the bigger your personality is, the more that can mess you up. But he's able to do that. And yeah, there were things that I didn't like about it, but I feel like there's more that I like about it. And yeah, I enjoyed the season.
Yeah. Okay, well, final three questions. First one, just who would the 6 players you put on the DVD cover for the season?
Oh God.
Oh yeah, because I think they had all the players on the official.
They had all the players on there,
if I remember correctly.
We have to put Amber. I'm just kidding.
Yule, just a bunch of Yules.
Because of you.
Yeah, it's Yule and the Poker Alliance sitting around a poker table.
That's what I would do.
Very artistic. It's tough. But obviously Tony.
I probably would put Yule, but I don't want to tell you that. So I would. I think that he was pretty dynamic in terms of like old school players. We need to see some more of that on there. Do it like Jeremy? Would we say Jeremy? I don't know. I'm trying to think of the things that were the most dynamic.
I would do Tony.
I like to put Sophie on there if we can.
Yeah, Sophie.
Tony, Sarah, Michelle, Natalie, Sophie, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I sign off on that. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Ties everything up pretty well from the beginning to the end.
All right.
Next question. I like any answer that has Yule in there.
Next question, Emily. Who would your number one ally be this season?
My number one ally this season?
Number one. Yeah.
I have an answer, but you're not going to like it. So let me think about it some more before.
It's your opinion.
No, you're going to hate it. No. Let me think about it.
Why would I hate it? Just
no. I know you're going to hate it, so I'm going to wait. Hold on.
Just Alex. Okay, Alex. Who would your number one ally be?
Well, you would be the obvious answer, but I would also say Sophie. I love Sophie, and yeah, I think Sophie would be fun.
She's the devil. If you refer to yourself as the devil at one point.
Yeah, but that's just her. You know,
I know.
Sophie. We get each other. Me and Sophie. So.
Okay, I'm gonna say mine, and you have to like me anyway. I think that like Sarah Lacina would be a good counterpart for me because I'm a little like woo, you know, I'm the one who like works to like really harness the relationships, you know, get everyone on cloud 9 and excited about things. But sometimes whenever I get other people excited, I get carried away. So I need someone who's a little bit more grounded, you know? And I feel like Sarah's really good at having her feet on the ground, you know, being so like super aware of the dynamics and the surroundings. She's worked on her relationships a lot this season. So like it would be a good blend, you know?
Why did you think I was not gonna like you say Sarah?
I thought that wasn't one of your faves. Like
She's
one
not,
of your
I don't like hate the woman. Like
okay.
she's one of my favorite winners.
Well, I wanted you to think that I had a good answer and good
background.
background.
No, she's one of my favorite winners.
Just give an honest answer. That's all we want. We just want honesty.
That's how I feel. I feel it in my heart.
My answer would be, well, it would be Michelle Fitzgerald, but I would know that I would get voted out before her. So Sophie would be my other option. And then final question, and this will be the last time I ask this because we are moving into the post-COVID era where the fandom just totally went off the rails and turned into Star Wars fans, and I hate them all. Emily, something that the modern day fandom would not like about Winners at War.
Ooh. I don't know. Like I would say like the raw tension, but like I feel like we're starting to get a little bit more of like a resurgence of that, you know, like a lot more, like less kumbaya. It was a little bit more, there was a lot more friction. Do you think I'm wrong? No? But
no, just answer the question.
Fine. Never mind. Well, that's what I thought. And the fire tokens. I feel like they don't appreciate them, and they really would have been good if we had enough time to really let them work. They wouldn't get it. They wouldn't appreciate it.
Alex?
Man, I don't know. I was hoping that I'd think of something. It's what the modern
modern, just the fandom, the fandom that is very overly toxic now.
I don't know what they like, and I'm very happy about that.
Yes,
I don't want to know what they like.
For me, I brought it up earlier. I think that they would hate all the players crying. I think that they would hate the amount of advantages that are involved in the game. Obviously, they hate the Edge of Extinction because, I mean, it's the Edge of Extinction.
What do the modern fans like? Like, what are they like?
They're hypocrites. They don't know what they like.
Okay.
They don't know what they like.
This is a trick question.
Yeah.
They don't know what they like.
Why are we even here, Andrew?
They say that modern Survivor is all about kumbaya, but if you watch most of the 30 seasons outside of Worlds Apart and Go Wrong, they're all kumbaya. That in the entire 30s, with the exception of 2, are all kumbaya, but people just refuse to acknowledge it because it happened before COVID. Alex, Alex, do you have anything to shill?
Wait. Oh yes, I have a book. My book coming out. Paul is Dead. It's available for pre-order now. Maybe we could put a link somewhere.
Yes, I will post it.
It's coming out February 2nd. But you know, or pre-order it now. There's like a special edition version of the book that people can get, and yes, very excited about that. The special edition has, they tell me it's like, there's like red pages or there's something special about it. But also the point is there's not gonna be like an unlimited number of them. So it's like, it's extra special. It could be a collector's item one day.
And Alex is gonna write a personal note to every single person who might.
Listen, anyone who watched this and reaches out to me and then finds me in person, I'll sign it. I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. Or I'll buy them a drink or something. I don't know. If you show me you bought it and you saw this, there's like too many things. I'll buy you a drink somewhere. If you're over 21.
Oh no.
Are you saying something, Andrew?
I think I froze again, but I think I froze again, but yeah, I froze. Don't worry about it. I froze.
Okay.
Alex, thank you so much once again. My apologies for I'm just out of it at this point.
No, you were so good. You did such a good job.
This is a fun little throwback. I had a great time.
Yeah, I really appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. I know that Emily, especially, I know that you said you're tired, but I really appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. Once again, everyone that has been leaving me all these messages on Instagram, I really appreciate it. We had our boy Jake hop back in today. For those that don't know, when we did, I don't remember where we did oh man, I can't remember what season we did, but Jake from 49 randomly hops in the chat and then hops on screen. Uh, and we're just like, all right, well, I guess Jake's here now. But I guess he was drinking right after a hockey game or something. But that's for another time. Thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow night for Survivor 41.